Travel has been severely affected and the hospitality industry has been hit hard. So, how do operators ensure the continuity of their businesses? Hello everyone, I'm Aarti Nagaraj, editor of Gulf Business, and a very warm welcome to the first GB Talk session in 2021. The year started on a slightly more optimistic note with COVID-19 vaccinations, both regionally and globally. But at the same time, the situation remains uncertain. We've seen a lot of governments impose new restrictions to tackle virus variants. Even locally, we've seen that, Saudi, this week, we've had Saudi impose new travel restrictions. We've had Dubai tighten down further on its precautionary measures, and that has included shutting down bars and clubs, and also restrictions in terms of capacity at hotels, malls. In this scenario, our session today focuses on one of the sectors that's in the midst of this turmoil. Travel has been severely affected and the hospitality industry has been hit hard. So, how do operators ensure the continuity of their businesses? And one angle that we're going to look at is whether expansion rather than contraction is one solution. To discuss this in more detail, we are very pleased to have with us today Antonio Gonzalez, the CEO and founder of Sunset Hospitality Group, as well as Nazih Hafez, the company's COO. Sunset, which was founded in Dubai in 2011, now operates in 10 countries across 23 brands. And last month, the company even expanded into a new wellness concept. Now, why did they do this? We're going to learn more about that from Antonia and Nazih. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
We'll start off with the first question, which everybody's asking. In Dubai, where you operate and where you are now, I think sitting in a restaurant, we've seen restrictions tighten this very week. So how are hospitality operators handling the COVID crisis in the region, in your opinion?
Well, I think nobody has the right answer to that because we are all kind of learning as we go. So it's the first time that we go through the pandemic. I hope it's the last one, but definitely something that none of us was prepared or planning for. So I think we are all learning, and there is not one solution that fits all because it depends a lot of the type of business that you run. The sector that you play, the regulation in that specific country. So there is a lot of variables that are changing. And we operate in countries where we are, like in Switzerland, where at the beginning we were very easy to do business and we keep on going almost as normal. And now in the last few months have been a total lockdown and we even had to close the stores and work only with delivery. In other places like Dubai has had different situations. So there's different challenges depending on the country, also depending on the sector. So it's not the same a beach club or a restaurant or a hotel or a nightclub. The dynamics are totally different. I think when in terms of coping or managing with the situation, it's having the priorities right. I think one thing that helped us to navigate through the crisis is to make sure that we put first our clients, our employees, and then to try to plan for the long term, not to take short-term solutions that might compromise whether the client's wealth or health or our team. And then it's how to navigate through that process. So the secret is not to take any rash decision, but to look at for long-term planning, look at for moving your cost structure to be as variable as possible so you can fluctuate as the market changes. Because again, we learned that you cannot take anything for granted. Today, the situation might be one way, might change in the future. So it's very, very important that your cost structure is very variable, and then you adapt very quickly to the regulation and the situation of the governments might impose. Overall, it's a challenge, but there is always hope at the end of the tunnel.
Anything you want to add, Nazih? I saw you laughing at. I mean, a challenge, I think, is an understatement almost in this current context.
Only thing I was thinking about that every week they come out with the new rules, and we need to change this every week immediately because it affects our staff and it affects our client. The health of our staff and our team and the health of our client is very important for us. So we need to move quick, adjust, and continue as much as we can with our business as it is.
Now a lot of the discussion is around COVID-19 vaccines that have come out. What kind of an impact do you think this is having? Initially, there was a lot of optimism. There was like people were confident that, okay, you know, things are going to change immediately. But is that, now further down the line, do you think it's going to be a more gradual impact, or, you know, it's going to be when it kind of the ball is fully rolling, is it going to be immediate, something new that we're going to see?
Yeah. I think nobody really knows because it's the same. Nobody has done it before. If you think about it, we've never gone through a global vaccination run, and so we all learning this all together. I think, and this is a personal take, I think things are going to get better very quick. I think we are in a crossroad between managing the cases and the uptake of the cases and managing the vaccination. And then I think, especially in the next few weeks, we have in that crossroad, and things are going to improve dramatically over the next few weeks and definitely over the next 2-3 months. But this is a personal view.
Sure.
Also, it's impossible to forecast, and you can do your best estimate, plan for the best, but prepare for the worst, I think.
So how do you plan for the best? How do you plan when you're so in such an uncertain scenario? How, how do you plan?
We need to be positive and look for the future with a bright eyes. I think we need to keep going, believe in the future, for the right product, for the right concept, for the right clients, and we keep going. We cannot just sit there and say, it's over. We cannot let our hands down, ever.
Is that the reason why, I mean, I'm going to come to your expansion, it's a different thing when you see a lot of companies saying, okay, we are holding off on these plans for now. It's a big deal when they say that we're not laying off people. That's where most companies are standing at. So when we hear the news that you're expanding into a completely new segment of health and wellness, fitness called Race, what led you to take such a decision, and tell us more about it?
Yeah, well, I think if your fundamentals are right, as a company, as a business, and the concept that you operate, then you have to manage the short term, but you have to strategically plan for the long term. So the short term is where you have to make the adjustment to make sure that you are able to cope with any situation. But the long term plan are the same. We had in Sunset for many years developed a strategic plan to expand internationally and expand into different areas of hospitality. So we stick to that plan. Now, actually, we see an opportunity to be able to expand even faster because we are able to capture better locations or to acquire certain business, or we are able to size some opportunities that we couldn't access so easily in the past. So if your fundamentals are good, and by fundamentals mean everything, to having the right team, to have the right approach to the business, to have the right financial resources, when you put everything together, this situation of uncertainty might be a good time to actually expand faster. We are not changing much of our plans. In anything, we are accelerating the plan. So all of these things that we're doing are things that we already were in our strategic plan. What we are doing now is bringing it forward, since we see opportunities to also attract some talent and to secure better locations.
What gave you the confidence that this kind of a sector has potential right now?
The fitness and wellness is a very competitive sector in hospitality, and we see as hospitality because, again, it's an experience. It's not just an industry; it's part of
Sure.
hospitality service. In our business, we clutter together with our hotel business and our service apartment business, where we have Azure Beach Resort and we have also Med hotels. So it's part of a complementing that idea of lifestyle, of a living lifestyle. Sure. We had created a concept that is very, very specific, which is this community gym or community fitness center. It's not a gym where you're gonna be able to have the professional athlete experience, but it's a gym that you can go every day and feel comfortable with professional service, with the best equipment out there, and with a sense of being healthy rather than being again a performance athlete. We wanted to have a gym that is not intimidating, that is accessible for everybody in terms of pricing, in terms of the attitude, but it still be run with the backbone of professional structures, of programs, but it still be that neighborhood gym. So that idea of race and that's why we created, because we saw that niche missing. We thought that we can bring a lot of the expertise that we have in our other segments, whether it's restaurants or hotels, into that and create something that is special and can stand out.
Nazih, something you wanted to add?
I just wanted to say, like, Raise, it's more about neighborhood gym. It's like where moms can go there and feel comfortable, when dads can go there with their kids and show them what kind of gyms could be. Not like Antonio said, it's for the athletes. It's more for everyone, that they can go there and feel comfortable about themselves, especially beginners. You know, when they go to the gym, they need to feel they fit in that gym, not to feel shy. Oh, you know. So that's what it is. Raise is all about, neighborhood gym.
It comes in, you're launching it at a time when a lot of people, and I know a lot of people personally, who are still scared to go back to a gym where, you know, I overheard somebody recently tell me, who met me, that, you know, he was wary about people running and not wearing masks. He's like, oh, you know, there's things flying around and they don't even wear masks and they're running. So when there is still that kind of a mindset, how confident are you that, you know, people will take to coming to another place right now?
Well, first, we have to follow what the authorities are telling us. You know, we are not scientists, we are not doctors, we are not experts on that. No. We let the authorities who know better than us to tell us this is what you can do and this is what we cannot do. Then what we have to do is to be very focused on following the rules and make sure that those are complied at every stage of the process of attending, whether it's a restaurant, a gym, a hotel, whatever it is.
Sure.
So I cannot speculate if it's not, but what I can tell you for sure is this is temporary. It's not going to be like this forever. And we are not building a business for the next 2 months or for the next 6 months. We are building businesses for the long term. We are creating brands and experiences that are durable over a longer period of time. So yes, we might have challenges, we might have restriction over the next few months, but if you really think about it, over a period of time, these things will fade away and will recover the sense of confidence, whether to go to a restaurant, to go to a bar, or to go to a gym, or to travel. It's just a matter of time. We've seen, and that's what also makes us very optimistic. We've seen how fast we can recover when the restrictions are lifted, how fast people are willing to go out, willing to socialize, willing to dine out. So we feel that the same will happen in any segments that is now under restriction. It's just a matter of the time and obviously to follow the right process.
Is this like moving into something new? I mean, this is a very bold decision that you've taken, but like you said, you're looking at the longer term rather than the short term. But do you think other hospitality providers should look at, a similar approach, or maybe look at diversifying their approach rather than, a lot of people you hear about are going the very traditional conservative way of seeing how they can save what they have and, keep things limited. But is this expansionary approach something that you think could work?
I don't know, maybe we are crazy. Yes,
we are positive. That's it.
Every company and every group have different ways of approaching the business. A lot of depends on the situation of each company. One is, I think it's very important, is the mindset. As Naz said, it's very important to be positive. Realistic, but positive. The other one is to have also the backbone, the financial backbone, to be able to deal with these situations. And to have that backbone means that your cost structure, again, has to be flexible. So you have to have certain things done on the back to be able to expand. Now, our strategy has always been the same. It hasn't changed. We were going to diversify across multiple hospitality divisions. We were going to diversify internationally. So all of that hasn't changed. We're just executing what we have planned to do. Other groups have decided to focus on one single brand and go through that. Other companies might decide to constrain because maybe they have financial difficulties. Each company has to adapt to the reality that they face. I don't think it's right or wrong because it really depends on each one of them. We see this opportunity or this market dynamics as an opportunity. But again, that's us. That doesn't mean that that's the right thing for everybody.
But what would you say is your advice? Advice in a sense, as somebody who's in the business, if somebody asked you, you know, what would you tell them? What helped you to? What has helped you so far, and you know, to take such decision? What is helping you to go?
In terms of priority, it's about kind of prioritizing related to timing. So the most important thing is to sort out the short term, meaning make sure that you have the cash to keep going, make sure that you have a variable cost structure, make sure the fundamentals of your business remain strong. And by fundamentals mean whatever is your brand is about, if it's an experience, if it's about the food, if it's a delivery, whatever you do that, try to keep that spirit strong because that's what build the brand, even with the circumstances that we face. So first, fix the short term. One that's fixed, say, okay, do I have the capabilities or the resources in terms of the team or financial to be able to grow? And then look at for the opportunities that may be out there to secure these good opportunities, good deals that might be, whether it's allocation, whether it's an expansion, whether it's an acquisition to grow. Now, one thing cannot be done without the other. So that's what my advice would be. But it's also challenging. And I think also one of the, if I have to add something else, would be to move fast. In this situation, you cannot wait. You have to be able to react very fast and be almost at any time, be ready to take actions.
Like Antonio said, there is opportunities always in this kind of situation. If it's from location or talents are very important and very available today for us. So when we see there is a talent out there because of the situation in the company he was working with, he's available today, we go grab him because we see the future and what we can do with this talent. For us, the team is very important. For us, it's about who we are today, but what we can be in the future.
Sure.
And without being with the talent that we need these people. So today we can grab these opportunities, keep these talents, and invest in them for the future.
So more kind of optimistic and forward-thinking approach.
Definitely. The future is bright. I think in the next 6 months, we will see a big difference in restaurants and in the hospitality business.
And what about customer expectations? Has that changed significantly now? And longer term, do you think it is going to be quite different from what it was pre-pandemic?
Wow, that's a tough one. It had changed in the sense of we are all more aware of the health and safety, you know, like the process, the control, the social distancing. So all of that, before I think there were people more aware than others. Now every day, everybody's aware. So this has, I think, has an impact. I think if you are already operating under certain standards, it doesn't make any change because you are already performing this kind of service. So it doesn't really affect our business in that sense. But I can see that the clients are more aware and they pay more attention, more careful. Long term, I think, but this again, my personal view, I think these things might come and go over time. And we've seen it. The moment that the restrictions get more loose, people immediately go back to the before. We are, as humans, we are social beings. We like to socialize. We like to hug. We like to touch. We like to kiss. We like to be with our friends, with our family. So all of that, I don't think any epidemic can take it away. And we all containing a little bit ourselves and being a bit more careful. But I think the moment that it's safe to go back to a normal life, we're gonna see that very, very soon.
But also, just to bring back an earlier point, we saw, like, you were talking about seizing the opportunities. We've seen a lot of like e-commerce players, like we've seen cloud kitchens sprout up. They've seized an opportunity, now sprouted up. People are ordering like never before, for instance. So do you think that could be like a longer term change? You mentioned people will be more than happy to come back, but let's say now you have these operators who are willing to give you food very quickly. You have so many options. So, isn't that a kind of competition?
No.
Okay, that's a solid no. Okay.
No, not at all. We talk about it a lot in our group and in the past. This is not something new. This was a trend that was going on for the last 3-4 years. So what has happened during the pandemic has been just accelerating that trend. But we have to be very careful on separating a restaurant versus a delivery experience. And that's where the key is. When you are having a delivery, in the majority of the cases, where you are fulfilling a simple need, you are feeding. Delivery business is in the business of feeding people. As you're hungry, you eat. That's it. In the restaurant business, in the hospitality business, you are in the business of creating an experience. So eating is part of that. It's very important. Your food has to be fantastic. You want to have the type of food that you like and all that. But there is so much more. From the moment that you walk into the door, how they welcome into a restaurant, the touching the table, the smells, the lights of the restaurant, the ambience, the people that are around you, all of that is not about feeding. Feeding is a human requirement that we have to do. But going out is a social requirement. And these are needs that are different. One is a basic need, the other one is more an aspirational need. So we, as a company, decided long ago to focus on the business of creating experiences. And we talk about that in our group internally a lot. We are only about creating experience. And therefore, we are not in the business of feeding. And there are people who does amazing on the business of feeding. And they're very professional and they can do an amazing job. But being in the business of feeding is about convenience and time, meaning you have to have the food quick, you have to have it at an affordable price, and you have to have the quality. Great. Being in the business of dining is a bit more of an art in the sense because you touch emotion, you take feeling, it's another dimension that is totally different. And that's where we are working, where we feel comfortable, and it's very, very different.
We give you happiness with food.
Yes.
We don't just give you food. We give you happiness with food. It's all about the experience itself. Antonio always say, we're not in the business to feed clients. We're in the business to give them experience. Experience including the good food, the good time, to enjoy and to leave the place happy. So it's about happiness. We want you to come, enjoy the food, eat, and leave happy. Eating at home, like Antonio said, the table is the same table every night. When you go to a restaurant, it's a different table, it's a different feeling. It's a different emotion. We're playing with emotion when you go to a restaurant. It's experience. It's not just about the food.
So in a way, you don't feel that they're competing directly with you.
Definitely not. Definitely not. They are good at what they do.
But they're playing in a different segment. You're playing in a different segment. Looking ahead, what are plans for Sunset Hospitality Group? You've just announced race, but are there further expansion plans? Are you looking at any new geographies where you think there is scope and potential?
Yeah, there is a lot of plans.
Okay.
So we are actually very busy working out on the plans for next year. We see still some opportunities to grow here in Dubai. We're going to be announcing a few new openings that will happen from September onwards. And some beautiful locations. We are actually very privileged because some of the real estate developers in Dubai and the government itself, the authorities, have put together beautiful master plans and amazing buildings. So we are benefiting from those and taking extraordinary locations where we can create again that experience that is not only about the food, but create a wow thing. So we are very optimistic and very positive about Dubai for the next few years. Beside that, we are also very actively expanding in other regions here in the Middle East. Saudi and Qatar are very important for us. So we have 5, 6 openings planned for Qatar. I think for Saudi, another 8 or 10. So we're going to be very, very busy in those 2 countries. Beyond that, we will be opening our hotel Met Social Living in Bodrum in 2 months from now. So we are bustling there with a lot of action. And we are very, very excited about that. And we are planning to take some of our brands and roll them out in Europe as well. So we are actively looking at location in Spain, France, Italy, Greece, to kind of transfer all this know-how and all these beautiful brands that we have created and translated there also.
Do you see any potential in Israel as well now with everything that's happened?
I think it's a bit early. We are both curious to go there and see the country. We never been, so I think that's the first step. I think it's early to tell what is the potential in terms of what we can take there and what we can bring from there. But definitely it's encouraging that the relationship has been now stabilized and there is tourism going in both ways. So that's always a positive first step. Now, in terms of what we can do, we need to go and see it, and we're looking forward to do that. Yes.
You mentioned a lot of countries you're looking at expanding, but there is already, like in places like Europe, which is a more mature market, there is a fair bit of saturation that's happened. So how do you compete there? In, let's say, places like Saudi and Qatar as well, maybe not as mature as Europe. You know, there is more space in a sense. But in more mature markets, how do you compete? How do you stand out, rather?
Well, first of all, it starts with the fundamentals. So you have to have your offering right, your team right, and then your location right. So I think operating in Dubai today is as challenging as operating in London or in New York or in Singapore or any city. You think about the amount of options and high quality options that are available in Dubai of anything, you name it, from hotels, from restaurants, from bars. We are a world-class city. The same will apply to anywhere in the world. What we see now is opportunities in these countries which are facing the challenges because of the pandemic, where we can enter and acquire unique locations that in other times wouldn't be available or as easily available or at the right price available. So right now we feel that we can take advantage of the situation and somehow expand faster than in normal circumstances.
With the right concept in Europe, you always can find your clientele there. The concept is very important in Europe. Location, like Antonio said, it's opportunities today. Location we couldn't put even our hand on today because of Corona or COVID-19.
Right.
Easy access to, with the right concept that we have for sure.
You're talking about Dubai itself. Do you think now, coming to your point, is Dubai a saturated market now, would you say, or is there still space? You are looking at expanding here, but you are an established player here, so you know this market better than others. But do you see that, do you see that changing? Do you think for new players who do want to enter the market, is there still opportunity?
Yeah, I mean, I think the world is saturated. I think the world is mature. Dubai has been an emerging city for many years, and with fast growth in terms of population and in terms of infrastructure. But if you think about it right now, it's a big city. It has top-class infrastructure, and it has some of the best offerings that are out there. You name it, healthcare, education, any industry, finance services, hospitality. So I would say that it's a mature city. And a mature city means that you have to be able to make a difference. You have to compete harder. You have to be having a special product and a special offering, not only in hospitality, but in any industry that you work. So I see there is always opportunities, but you have to go the extra mile. It's not just open the door and things are going to work. That might be the case maybe 25, 30 years ago. It's not the case anymore. Now you really have to have something that is unique and not only that is unique, that is consistent over time in terms of quality and service and reliability of the concept.
So if you're able to tick those boxes, you will always find opportunity, basically.
I think so. There is always opportunities.
Lastly, looking ahead, what are the longer term trends you expect to see in the regional hospitality industry? Is it going to be that, the way a service is going to become more critical, the kind of offering you have and how you stand out? What are we going to see? Is technology going to be playing a bigger role in the way you offer services? What's coming up?
Yeah, I think the same things that happened pre-pandemic apply. So we see big trends in healthy food, healthy habits. So that's something that is an ongoing trend. The newer generations are more aware of the type of food that they have and their health, and different from older generations, and that it plays a role. And you can see how it's shaping up some of the menus that we are creating, some of the concepts that we're working on. So that's there. The idea also of when you mentioned delivery, I think any restaurant was very transactional in the sense of quick service restaurant. So you go take food, eat, and move. That's likely to be cannibalized by delivery business, because I don't even need to go there and get the food when it can be delivered for the same cost at my house or at my office. So that's gonna be we are seeing how it's accelerating that one. And the other one we're seeing is anything that is dining has to go around the experience. And not only going and eating is enough, because then you become a feeding transaction, as we said before. It has to be an experiential. So you have to really work on every touch point of the client journey to make sure that you are able to craft that experience that is special.
Give us an example, like what would you say is a good experience? What is it that when you talk about the experience, what is it, which are those touch points which matter the most?
I think all of them. If you think about it, it's not only about the point where you are gonna put the food in your mouth, or we're gonna have the drink, or when you are in a hotel gonna go to sleep. It's everything. It's from the moment that you recognize the brand and you want to interact with the brand, meaning how you book, how the relationship you have before going to that place. Again, it can be a hotel, can be a beach club, can be a restaurant, anything. That experience is already has to be crafted and relevant to the brand. Then is how you access the venue. Then is how you feel being in that venue, lighting, sound, smells, all of that. And then it's actually what happened also after you experience that venue, whether if it's a hotel or any other hospitality experience that you have, what is the follow-up that you have, what is the interaction that you're gonna have with the brand, how you're gonna make that brand memorable. So now it's not just, okay, you come to a hotel, go to the room, sleep and leave. This is a very commoditized transactional experience. And that's where a lot of brands are suffering, because they are not able to differentiate themselves. They just in the business of sleeping, the business of feeding. You cannot be on that. You have to be adding much more. It has to be an experience if you really want to stand out. So I think a lot of companies, yeah, sorry.
Sorry, I was interrupting to say, but is this experience only from a luxury perspective, or do you think that can be across?
No, all across.
I just want to add something from what Antonio was said. I believe outdoor venues have a big future, because mentally people think outdoor is healthy. Outdoor is fresh. Outdoor is, I cannot catch the virus as much as I am close in a place as a restaurant. So I think the outdoor venues is where the future is going to be. I think this is where we're going to see the trend. People will be going more and more for outdoor places, because mentally they think it's healthier.
Right. Sorry, I interrupted, but it was just that when we talk about a good experience, a lot of times it becomes, you start seeing the dollar signs add on whenever it's a good experience. So is that like, do the two necessarily go together is the question?
No, not at all. I think an experience is just paying an extra attention to the whole, to be more consumer focused, to be more consumer centric, rather than be product centric. So what I'm trying to say is you can have the best burger in the world, okay? But it's how that client is gonna come to your restaurant, how it's gonna sit in the restaurant, how it's gonna be the experience of eating the burger and have everything else. If you want to be on that experiential business, if you want to just feed the person, be on delivery and send the burger to the house, and It's a very different dynamic. So when you are consumer-centric, it's about the experience that goes around that consumer.
Consumer-centric is going to be kind of a big thing in the future. And technology, lastly, what kind of role do you see technology playing within the industry?
Well, I think this is a difficult one because I think we have to embrace technology, but not to go too ahead of technology. We have to follow the pace of the consumer and our clients. If we lose the human touch, the interaction, you kind of lose a little bit of that touch. I don't know how to explain it. It's
the human touch.
The human touch.
Yeah.
I think hospitality is something that is very human. And the moment that you eliminate the steps of that human interaction, you are on the risk of creating an experience that is more mechanical, the more colder experience. So we like to keep that balance. Obviously, on the back, there is a lot of technology, and we see an amazing improvement in where, again, our POS systems, how we run the
safety for food,
the procurement, some of the things that happen on the back. When it goes to the client, we have to give them what they want. So, for example, a client might want to be in a beach club ordering through a WhatsApp message. Okay, that's great. Let's care of that. But let's not force them to do it, because a client still might want to raise their hand and have an interaction with the waiter. So it's about giving the option and accommodate, be again, consumer focused, consumer centric, to give everybody as much as possible what they feel comfortable with.
And then
we have to keep this a human experience. When you go to your mother's house, you eat different. When you go to a restaurant, you have to feel that. You have to keep, we're not machine, we're humans. We need this.
It's a nice one. It's good. It's refreshing to have the human touch. When we're talking about AI taking away jobs, it's good. There is like that human touch still required in a lot of places. Lastly, in a single line, if you have to say, I think I can almost say it for you, but I think if you look at the longer term prospects for this region, if you had to say, what would it be?
Wow. I think they're exciting. You know, both of us have been here for long. We've been in Dubai for what, 12, 15 years now. We've seen ups, downs, challenges, opportunities, and one of the reasons that I really love not only Dubai but the whole region is how exciting it is. You know, it's a young, dynamic part of the world with a lot of history, but it's still finding itself. You know. So I think that's a fantastic mindset to be living in, and something that I'm very happy to be part of, because it's a very dynamic and I personally I love how exciting is this.
We are blessed to live in Dubai, and the government keep us on our toes, like we say. We need to always look for the future, find a new way, and challenge ourselves, because they keep us challenging what we can do better, how we can look at the future better. And I love that. Antonio loved that. And that's why we always look to the future, again, with the positive eye, and move on.
That's what I was going to say, positive. I knew something, the word positive was going to come in there somewhere. Thank you so much for your very optimistic outlook. And with that, we come to an end of today's session. A big thank you to both of you, Antonio, Nazih, for the insights. We hope all of you enjoyed the session, found it beneficial. Please do give us your feedback. Follow us on social media. We're at Gulf Business on Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn, and at Gulf Business Magazine on Instagram. Thanks, and have a great day ahead.
Very much. Good luck.